Jay Morrison is the biggest con man in the real estate influencer space. There are over 15,000 victims of his lies and incompetence.
I'm an influencer, but I'm not an influencer. Yeah, I'm a real estate guy, but I'm not a real estate guy.
He raised money and claimed his critics were haters, but recently his haters were proven right. He's of course transitioned into preaching about God and religion. He had all the answers in real estate, and now he has all of the answers for your personal life. Behind the confidence, charisma, and charm is a man whose sole purpose was to enrich himself at the expense of others. Jay raised a lot of money from his community because he claimed his mission was to help uplift and enrich the Black community through his Tulsa Real Estate Fund. What transpired was something much worse. Amidst all the chaos and drama that surrounded the fund, Jay claimed everyone exposing his mismanagement were just haters and slowing him down. A shocking revelation was exposed 7 months ago, leading to Jay hosting a town hall meeting where the investors could ask him questions directly. His downfall arrived quickly. Here's what happened. Jay Morrison likes to LARP as a real estate investor mogul.
It's an emerging company, just 4 years old, the fund, and 3 years old, our building. But this early success that we've had towards our long-term mission has really been the seeds that we've sown around the country.
Jay has built a large social media following based on the belief that he was a legitimate real estate professional and investor.
Hey guys, here's 3 reasons why everyone should get into real estate, especially starting with wholesaling.
If you dig deep enough, you'll see that Jay never made content about real estate deals he was doing. That's because he wasn't doing any, and he certainly never transacted a wholesale deal.
And I'm gonna teach you guys right now how to make a 1,400% return on investment on a single family rental property.
He was a real estate preacher teaching others how to buy real estate while not doing any deals himself. His social media content helped create the illusion that he was a real estate mogul. He was never invited to speak at legitimate conferences because everyone knew he wasn't investing in real estate like he wanted you to believe.
We have a SEC regulated Regulation A Tier 2 crowd fund launching, the Tulsa Real Estate Fund.
In 2018, he started a fund to raise money in order to buy real estate deals. The premise was to allow thousands of investors who didn't have the capability of buying real estate on their own to pool their money together in order to purchase property.
Tulsa Real Estate Fund is a Regulation Tier 2 crowd fund.
Okay.
It's the largest Black-owned crowd fund in the history of America. We partner with 15,000 families from 22 countries, and we're able to raise over $11.5 million together to deploy $9.4 million into projects in 10 different states with 12 different developers, all black developers around the country. We've created over 200 jobs.
As enticing as that offering sounded, there was at least one interviewer skeptical of Jay's fund.
You don't have 500 to see what it do with all those questions, with the clarity and disclosure of the fund. You don't have a spare 500, the minimum investment to support the fund.
Nope.
In addition to keeping your money safe, I want to keep your identity safe, which is why I always partner with today's sponsor, Aura. My account receives alerts every day notifying me of all the ways scammers might be trying to find my passwords or personal information. One way they can do this is by buying your information off data broker websites. Data brokers are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and others who want to learn more about you, like where you live. Aura can identify data brokers exposing your info and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Brokers are legally required to remove your info if you ask them to, but they make it super hard to do. Let Aura handle it for you. AT&T recently revealed that over 72 million customer records, both existing and former customers, were released on the dark web. They recommend those affected use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. Well, Aura does all of this for me. And best of all, I don't have to download several different apps just because a company couldn't keep my data secure. If my info was compromised in the AT&T data breach, I wouldn't worry because Aura is always on, always doing the hard work of keeping me safe. Aura wants you to protect your private information, which is why they're offering my audience a 14-day free trial. Go to aura.com/Spencer to get a 14-day free trial. How amazing is that? What many of Jay's investors didn't know is that he filed for bankruptcy just a couple years before raising money to buy real estate. I have a video detailing his bankruptcy proceedings and how he was only making $2,000 a month from real estate at the time, even though he was claiming to be a mogul. The man who claimed to be a mogul never had a respectable portfolio of his own. He only started doing deals when he took money from his community. He claims to have been a celebrity realtor at Sotheby's International and Coldwell Banker in New Jersey a decade ago. There's reason to believe his only deal with a celebrity was when he assisted Angela Yee in buying a house, which was mostly just for a TV show.
Yeah, I went viral back in like 2011, 2012. I was a celebrity realtor on NBC. I was a real estate expert on NBC's Today Show. I was working for Prominent Property Sotheby's International Realty, the largest luxury real estate company in the country, in the world. And I was putting some stuff out on World Star Hip Hop, and it went viral. And I was on the Breakfast Club.
He's had a miraculous ability to fail upward in life just as much as the Pug CEO from that podcast in Miami. This guy's life story is meant for a movie where the protagonist ends up in prison. But I want you to ask yourself if this is the person that should be managing other people's money.
Bro, I've been through bankruptcy. I've been divorced before. I've been a teenage dad. My daughter was born while I was in prison. I've been depressed. I made $1 million by 27 and went broke by 30.
I'm still not convinced he's ever been a millionaire. There's zero proof from a guy who's been putting out videos on the internet for a decade. The only time Jay tells the truth is when he's referring to his career before real estate.
I grew up in the streets, like literally was raised in the streets. And my pops went to prison, served 13 years in prison, and was a heroin addict. And my pops had, his own demons, if you will. And I had abuse in my home. Was literally fending for myself. I dropped out of high school, ran away from home at 16. Was a 3-time felon by 21. I was facing 3 years of life in prison at 18. I done hustled and sold dope heroin with gangsters like Sex, Money, and Murder, Blood.
I appreciate his transparency and the fact that he doesn't hide from his past, but giving money to an ex-felon is probably not your best decision. This was the most interesting part of his backstory to me.
I didn't see him again until I was 17, and I was selling crack in Somerville, New Jersey. And one of my customers called me and said, "Oh, your dad in town?" I said, "That's cool." She said, "You got something?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What's up?" He said, "We want something." I told him we got the best stuff in town. So from 9 years old to 17 years old, I didn't see my father. My first time seeing my father was me selling him crack.
His upbringing was certainly not as privileged as mine, which I do recognize, and his story would be incredibly aspirational if he wasn't still a street hustler. He's still selling a highly addictive product, the idea that you're going to buy real estate by giving him money.
So I've educated over 500,000 students in the last 10 years.
The only thing Jay Morrison has done in the real estate industry is repackage info he read in a book and instruct people in his corner classes.
Been known for his legendary corner classes. I'm talking about has gone across the country a number of times, educating us for free. 66. And I'm talking about 66.
This whole neighborhood's on the corner, though.
Cities?
He was always a fake guru, but there's nothing wrong with teaching others the basics of real estate for free. He seemed to believe that teaching people basic financial literacy was enough to consider himself a mogul.
I feed them all this financial information for over a decade now, right? I give us game. Can't nobody say I don't give us game. I give us game.
He created the Jay Morrison Academy, which was his only income source in real estate. Unfortunately, that led him to believe he could successfully run a real estate fund. Oh, how wrong he was.
What's one of the biggest things that you've done to help somebody that had money to accumulate, more money?
That's a good question. I mean, I've given a lot of I held a mansion mastermind.
This question and answer was the most telling aspect of Jay's guru persona. After having a fund for 5 years, his only response when asked about making someone else money is that he held a mastermind in a mansion for Carrie Hilson. His course sales were his only income for many years before the fund raised money. The dude claimed to be an expert in real estate business and credit. They claim to have had 80,000 students. If that number is accurate, Jay Morrison probably made over $5 million from being a guru while making $2,000 a month from his real estate empire. Last summer, he spoke at an event in Washington, D.C. where they were charging $300 for a ticket. Social media has been a turbo booster for con men like Jay Morrison to make more money than you could ever imagine. Even with numerous YouTube videos exposing him, people still wanted to believe he was a mogul and paid to listen to what he had to say. In his school community, he posted the other day that he's delivering a keynote address today at Morehouse College at 6 p.m. for a select group of aspiring entrepreneurs. Who is still paying to see this dude speak? Do you not do any research on your speaker and mentors?
Everyone that had loved me had turned their back on me. It was no more DJ Morrison. It was, how far can we get away from him?
This next segment will be a blast as we'll go through all of the comments Jay made towards his haters, and then we'll determine if those haters were correct in calling out Mr. Conman Morrison.
I would not be who I am today and where I'm at today had I not had that trial period, that affliction period, that persecution period.
Yeah.
That was just another storm, another test. It's like what you made of. And
Yeah.
what's so vindicating about it for me is like what God shared with me at the end of the whole thing.
Tony the Closer was the first one to begin speaking out about Jay after Conman Morrison stole $100,000 from Tony. No one wanted to believe Tony because of Jay's curated, squeaky clean image as the man helping out his community. Sadly, Jay is too broke to pay Tony what is owed to him.
I've been divorced, I've been bankrupt, I've been like all these different things, right? Parole, work release, house monitoring, ankle bracelet. I got the cliche black man's journey of everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And God specifically gave me that testimony so I could minister and reach so many people on a real level. So like even going through a social media slander or whatever the case is, God just said to me simply, if you can't handle social media, you can't handle nations.
Jay's ego has led him down a pathway of believing he's meant to be a president of a country. This is a dude so deluded in his own self-righteousness that he's blinded to his incompetence.
It is a fund that went through a SEC investigation, a FBI investigation, DOJ investigation, 18-month investigation, hundreds of thousands.
So they checked everything.
They checked everything. No findings.
The irony is that no findings actually meant that they looked for the properties he claimed to own and they found nothing. He's financially harmed 15,000 people.
But yet my family went through all kinds of slander and defamation and accusations of this and that online the last couple of years.
Somehow, he's always the victim, even though he's caused financial damage to 15,000 people. It must be that mysterious force always keeping him from succeeding.
Bro, we managed over $11.5 million. I spent over $1 million in transparency alone. Third-party annual audits, attorneys, technology, $1 million, bro, in transparency to show you where the money's at.
Thankfully, we were able to see the SEC reports indicating his fund losing money year after year. If you want to see a full breakdown of the fund's lack of performance, watch Pocket Watching with JT's episodes on the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Both JT and Eli do a great job of commenting on Jay's fund. Julian Gordon is the biggest investor in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, and he made a video in August 2023 demanding Jay liquidate the fund to minimize losses. Julian highlighted how the fund initially had $11.5 million in capital, but was worth only $4.3 million 5 years later. Somehow, in a major bull market where an idiot could have picked any property and tripled his money, Jay lost 75% of the fund's money. Complete incompetence.
After that first week, I think we raised like $6 million in 24 hours, 48 hours.
Wow.
And several million the first week. And after that second week, I've been called scam since.
Jay was too ignorant to understand why real estate investors were making critical videos of him at the start. Raising money isn't a scam. The problem was the operator is a con man, and we all knew it.
Or break it down to me, why do I see the word scam?
Because you can get more views if you put scam next to my name.
He's too simple-brained to realize that the criticisms were all valid. Losing money in real estate from 2018 to 2024 was nearly impossible, yet he found a way to do it.
We have a new fund coming up, Tref Future Fund, that I'm excited about because we're gonna raise hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're gonna literally continue to show our community what transparent, genuine group economics looks like and the power of what we can do working together.
Thankfully, this isn't going to happen because a post in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund's Facebook group exposed what we expected 7 months ago. Julian Gordon posted on his Instagram that Jay was shutting down the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Out of 15,000 investors, apparently only 53 were on the call. By now, everyone has begun to realize that Jay is a massive con man who has no business touching other people's money. My favorite thing in the entire world is when someone turns to God after losing everyone's money.
I'm a man of God. I'm called by God to do great things and just whatever it is he got for me.
In case you missed the video I made about Jay, he actually responded to the fake guru allegations by talking to me directly.
Newest one now is a gentleman from the white community who's being supported by the guy that I beat in defamation, the biggest slanderer. Who's saying now the new thing is fake mogul, fake guru. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. Honestly, my team tells me they get all frustrated. They send me these group texts. Somebody said something new about you. I don't have time to watch your videos.
He was referring to Tony the Closer, who he did not beat in defamation court. His attorneys wrongly filed court proceedings and incorrectly served Tony, leading to a technical victory, but he did not actually win.
You're right. I'm not a mogul. I'm a miracle.
Wow. Come on.
I'm not a guru. I'm a miracle.
The only miracle involving Jay is the fact that he lost 80% of his fund's money during a market that only went up and up and up. Even an idiot could have tripled his money in basically any asset class.
So, but to say that I'm a scam is bait, man. Clickbait talk.
It was never clickbait because all of us YouTubers only focused on facts with Conman Jay. It's not like we're tearing down some upstanding citizen here. This is what he was talking about when he was raising money for a fund.
I got locked up in New York facing 3 years of life in prison. Or I know that how I survived Rikers Island or upstate New York. How I know that I beat 15 years for drug trafficking in Maryland. How I know when the cops pulled my transporter over with 700 grams of coke and 5 pounds of weed.
I respect someone who has overcome a troubled background, but Jay Morrison is not him. From street hustler to social media hustler, from drug dealer to subpar course dealer, from losing the police on the New Jersey Turnpike to losing his investors' money, he's been a con man.
What made you qualified to start a fund and a mission so big?
I got the vision.
If you know how to assess a legitimate real estate investor, then you'd know right away that he was never qualified to manage a fund.
So my reputation is actually a small sacrifice for what it is that I know God has called me to do and accomplish. And I mean, everyone from Jesus to Martin and Malcolm and everyone in between has had their reputations attacked. That's why I said if my reputation hadn't been attacked and I had not had these level of attacks on my name and our family and all those things, it wouldn't make sense.
He legitimately believes he's this generation's Martin Luther King or a cultural icon that will be remembered multiple generations later. The irony is he actually will be, but for being a thief.
We raised $11.5 million with just 15,000 people with an average investment of $750. Imagine what we can do with 111,000 people or 1.1 million people under good stewardship, good fiduciary, good management.
What's unfortunate about the fund is that these were mostly unsophisticated investors and likely people who will be affected by the financial loss. You lose money investing all the time, that's part of the game. But funds like this target people who generally aren't in the investor class and can't really afford to lose the money.
That we are not doing illegitimate and fraudulent and self-dealing things in the fund. We're literally working for the fund's best interest.
Because Jay was getting called out by his investors, he held a 3-hour town hall meeting answering questions. The first and most important question was around his recent purchase in Atlanta.
Do you, Jay Morrison, own 3900 Mooney Road? And the answer is yes, I do. My address is now out there. I, my family, we own 3900 Mooney Road.
Julian Gordon made a detailed video about Jay purchasing this property with the fund's money and then deeding it over to an LLC that Jay happens to own for $0. If you're interested in seeing Jay's highly unethical and borderline illegal behavior exposed by Julian, Tulsa Real Estate Fund's top investor, I'd highly recommend watching this video. Jay claimed he purchased the property because the fund would have access to develop large apartment buildings on 27 acres, but that came just before also saying this.
I will say that the fund is sub $500,000 of cash and that we absolutely must raise capital to keep the mission going.
The fund had no money because Jay was mismanaging the expenses. He used a bunch of money on his pet project, the Legacy Center, which looks cool and actually functions as an event space, but the dude was losing millions of dollars per year for the fund.
We're already vetted. We're already tested. We've already proven we can go through the fire, through the heat, and still perform.
He ultimately failed to raise more money because he's a bad operator and no one trusted him after the disaster of the last few years. He claimed the fund was performing, but we all had access to the SEC filings showing millions of dollars in losses every year.
My qualifications come from 20 years in real estate and mortgages.
Okay.
Started in mortgages in 2002 as a loan officer and worked my way up to a branch manager of 2 mortgage companies, Liberty State Finance in New Jersey. Also have worked as a developer investor in all those years. Licensed realtor for nearly 10 years in New Jersey. Licensed realtor with Sotheby's International Realty, the world's largest luxury real estate company, and have just been executing and being an entrepreneur for the last 2 decades.
The fund is closing because Jay was never qualified to operate a fund. He has no qualifications for touching anyone's money or doing any real estate deals. Jay will speak for hours about why the fund hasn't been successful, why the haters are just clickbaiting his name, why everyone needs to find God instead of focusing on their money, and why he's the next Malcolm or Martin. But the fact is, he's just an incompetent ex-convict trying to convince you he's a mogul. Just as I was finishing up this video, Julian Gordon posted a video alleging the Legacy Center is now up for sale. Through sheer incompetence, Jay has somehow lost the majority of the money that he raised during one of the most lucrative 5-year runs in real estate history in a market that appreciated massively. Well done, Jay. You're one of the biggest con men on social media. Thanks for watching.